Good morning, class. This is Dr. Mike Moran, your instructor for IT 140, and today I'm going to talk about Lab 3.13, the Exact Change Lab. And today you are going to prompt the user for input, convert that input into an integer, and then calculate the number of dollars, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies that make up that number that the user has given you. So, and you also have to be careful where use singular or plural as appropriate. So 1 penny versus 2 pennies, 1 nickel, 10 nickels, etc. So it's pretty simple. Obviously, they give you what you need to do, so you're going to prompt the user for input. So we're going to do that here. But I'm not going to do all of this lab for you, but I'll do some of it. So let's imagine a situation where you have a country where there are only nickels and pennies. So how would we do this? So we need to calculate the number of nickels and pennies. So we need to prompt the user for input. And I'm going to call this variable money. Let's just call it money. You can call it whatever you want, but I'll just call it money. And I'm going to prompt the user for input, and then I'm going to convert that to an integer. Okay, because we want to do math on this. All right, so if money, and look what they have here, if the input is 0, then the output should be no change. Okay, that's pretty easy. If money is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to cover the less than case just to be safe. But, if it's an inappropriate number, 0, then we're going to print out no change, just like they did right here. I optionally add this exit, but you can probably get away without using that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add, let's start with just the variables first. So I'm going to create some variables to hold the number of coins of each type. And in our simple universe, we only have nickels and pennies. So currently there are 0 nickels and there are 0 pennies. That's pretty trivial. And at this point, I want to do integer division because I do not care about the remainder. And integer division in Python is done with a // like that. If you go to Wikipedia, you can learn more about it here. So we don't want true division. True division gives us the floating point residue. We don't care about that. So we're going to do integer division, also known as floor division. Okay. So since we want to count the number of nickels that exist in this number that we are given by the user, and that number is held in the variable called money, I'm going to take money, integer divide that by 5, and we're going to get the number of nickels that are in there. Now, if nickels is greater than 0 and money is greater than 0, I need to go ahead and keep track of what's left over. So I take money and I make it equal to money minus the number of nickels we calculated times 5. So if I had, let's say, 20 cents, and I divide that by 5, I have 4 nickels with 0 left over. Okay, so if nickels is equal to 1, then I'm going to print, essentially 1 nickel and then nickel singular. But if it's greater than 1, I'm going to print out the number of nickels I have and then the plural form of that. So let's actually run this and see what we get. I'm going to enter, let's say, 20 cents. We should get 4 nickels back. We do, indeed. If I enter 21, I'll still get 4 nickels back, but we really do have 1 left over, right? But in this little universe, we've only calculated nickels. So let's add support for the pennies. It's the same logic, okay? But instead of dividing integer 5, for pennies, I'm going to divide by integer 1, the floor division. And this keeps track of the money we have. If it's 1 penny, I print out the number of that 1, and then penny singular. And if it's more than 1, I print out the number of pennies, and then pennies plural. So let's go ahead and run this again. This time we should get, with 20 cents, we should still only get 4 nickels. There won't be any pennies because pennies is not greater than 0, and it's just this if statement does not register true because this portion of it is false. Okay, so since we don't have any pennies here, this is not printed out, and since we still have no pennies, that's not printed out. That's why you only see 4 nickels here. Let's change this, however, to 21 cents, and we see 4 nickels, 1 penny. Let's change it to 22 and make sure the plural works. 4 nickels, 2 pennies, good. Let's go to 7 cents, so we should only get 1 nickel and 2 pennies. To make sure the singular form of nickel works, good. Perfect, so that part works great. So now you could take this, and let me go ahead and expand this here so you can see it. You can take this code and build on that, okay? That will give you something to start with right here for your lab 3.13 exact change. What you would need to do is add support for the other coinage that they ask for. And they're asking for dollars, quarters, and dimes in addition to the nickels and pennies we just did. Okay, so what would you have to do? Think about it. Add more variables for your other coin types, and then add chunks of code like this, but for your specific coins. So for dimes, it'd be divide by 10. For quarters, divide by 25. For dollar coins, divide that by 100. And then keep that logic going, rename accordingly the variables, print out the appropriate singular or plural form of the coin in question, and then of course test this down here in develop mode, and then submit. So if we submit this, this is going to fail because we don't handle all the other coin types. See, only 2 out of 10 correct, right? So I have 9 nickels when really they want 1 quarter and 2 dimes, right? Which is 45 cents. I got 45 cents, but only in nickel form, which is incorrect. So I would need to add support for quarters and dimes, obviously. Cool. And then here, of course, 31 nickels, 1 penny. Well, really, if I had support for dollars and quarters, I'd have a different number there. Cool. So you see how this works? All right, so we're getting there. 2 out of 10, that's a good start. Let's add the other coin types, and then you'll be ready to go. If you have any questions on this lab, feel free to reach out to me. Or if you have more generic questions about Python, feel free to reach out to academic support. I've heard from various students this term and last term that academic support is really helpful. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to them too for some free Python tutoring. All right, class, have a great day. This is week 3, moving right along. Almost halfway done with the course. Good luck, and I hope this works out for you.